Hi everybody. So this is going to be the nodal video that I promised you guys that I would be making. The nodes of the moon are going to be changing on July 17th. A lot of us are feeling it already. So the north node has been in Taurus. It's going to be moving into Aries. And the south node has been in Scorpio and it will be moving into Libra. So I want to discuss what this is going to mean for each of the signs. Towards the end of the video, we'll also be addressing what it means for you if you're having your nodal return, which means in your birth chart, you have your north node in Aries and your south node in Libra. Now, there's a very specific way I'm hoping that you guys use this video. Understand, guys, that in astrology, the sign that a planet or an asteroid or any placement is in, including the nodes, is only half the story. The other half of the story has to do with the house placement. So, for example, let's say you have let's say you're a Capricorn rising. All of this goes according to your rising sign. That means that you have Aries in the fourth house. So you're going to have to understand, of course, what the initial nodal axis means of the north node in Aries, the south node in Libra. But then you're also going to have to understand what does it mean to have it on the fourth house, 10th house axis, which would be the Cancer Capricorn axis. So I hope that's not too confusing and too in the weeds for you guys, but it's really important in astrology that you understand it. You know, even if you think about your sun sign, right? So for example, let's just say that you are let's say you're a Leo sun, but your sun sign is in, let's say, the 10th house, right? So you're born in during Leo season, but your sun is located in the 10th house. Well, you would have to know what your Leo sun means, but you would also need to understand what it means to have your sun in Capricorn, because Capricorn is the landlord of the 10th house. So you would experience your sun sign energy through the lens and through the energy of Capricorn. I hope that doesn't make too many people too crazy out there, but I think I want to actually teach you guys how to really understand your own charts. Okay, so understanding that, so you're going to listen to, first of all, what it means to have the north node in Aries, the south node in Libra, and then you're going to jump to your rising sign. Okay, now you can also listen for your moon, especially because the nodes are on the moon, because they're the nodes of the moon. And you could also listen for your sun. I'm always a big fan. Mix the three together to get the most holistic messages. But understand that your house placements are driven by your rising sign. And the way you find your rising sign is go to any free birth chart calculator. But you do have to know your exact time of birth, because the rising sign changes about every 60 to 90 minutes or so. So it's not enough to just know your birth date and around what time, you know, but if you don't know that, then you just listen for your sun sign and your moon sign, and you'll be able to gain some information there. But if not, the general energy we're all going to be feeling, the north node in Aries, the south node in Libra. So let's kind of unpack it a little slowly. So every 18 months or so, the moon's nodes switch into a new sign. And we last experienced this the Libra South Node, Aries North Node between 2004 and 2006, if you think back to then. And when I reference these time periods, it doesn't mean that it's going to be exactly the same thing, but don't be surprised if some themes come up again. So the nodes in transit, right, or in the mundane chart, it does indicate a significant shift globally, but also on a personal level. So the world's north node indicates what will increase in society, right? So in this case, it's Aries, which is all about new, novel, fresh path, new perspective, not having all of the information, not having all of the answers, but having the gumption to want to do something new and different. Remember, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. That's very important for us to understand here. Now, this isn't necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just simply indicating what values that we're shifting toward, right? So it's that new and novel. Meanwhile, that South Node energy shows where humanity is going to be experiencing a collective decrease, right? So you'll notice that we start to shift away from the values of that South Node energy, which is Libra, which is about beauty and money, and it's this unbelievable attachment to fairness. You know, that is that Libra energy. But things that are just like pretty and look nice, not going to be enough anymore. It's got to have some more substance, and it's got to be something that moves us forward. And it's always like this, right? The North Node, well, let's just unpack what they each are anyway, right? And some of you know, some of you don't know. So the North Node points to key lessons in your life, especially what's in your birth chart, key lessons there. But during this 18-month transit, you have to treat everything that I'm going to be saying for your sun sign as like, these are the key, this needs to be the key focus of your life right now. So this is going to represent new experiences towards which you must aim during this transit. You've already been dealing with the opposite point, the South Node energy, right, leading up to this. And now it's about growing and stretching yourself through the North Node. Now, the North Node is not always easy. It's not always kind. I'm saying in Aries, yeah, it's fresh path, new perspective. But let's remember something. Aries is ruled by Mars. And Mars is a warrior energy. He rules war. He rules weapons. He's a fighter energy who wants to fight for the betterment of your life, right? For the betterment of a situation. So we can actually all as a collective be a little more aggressive. Does depend on what house we have it in, right? And how it's speaking to your personal Uranus, especially Pluto, especially your nodes, right? You have to know your chart in this way. I recommend, you know, your chart in this way. But that's what it's going to be all about, right? But the challenge with the nodal axis is, you know, whenever we have a new shift, is to use the past skills of the South Node energy to learn the new skills that the North Node really wants us to understand, right? So, you know, here, let's just understand, like, South Node in general represents past life karma, skills and achievements, which represent our past life or early years. You know, when it comes to a transit, it could be like the way that we've been in that part of our life. So we need to use the skills of of our present life in order to learn the lessons that the opposite energy is asking for us. So, you know, Libra energy rules partnerships and contracts. It rules the lower courts. It rules fairness and equity. It rules the way that we connect with the people who we serve. But Aries is in the opposite end of the spectrum, is like, we need to do things differently. You need to work your business differently. Maybe you have to get a different job. Maybe you have to get a different spouse, a different relationship, or maybe there just needs to be a leveling up in that particular area, right? Across the board. It could be any of those things. I'm giving that as just a very basic understanding of what it is that you know, that we're talking about here. Now, this particular energy in the transit, the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra transit, you know, when this transit begins, you're going to find that you move more towards an independent way of being and away from dependence, particularly on societal expectations, relationship expectations, any sort of expectations, really. So this means that you're really going to start to care a lot more about what makes your soul really feel like it's vibing with the life that you want to live, you know, and less about what other people want you to do, whether it's general society, whether it's that partner in a relationship, whatever it is. You care less about like dressing up, the decorating, the talking and acting in a way that's trendy, that's, you know, and I think we all know exactly, right, what we're talking about. It's like this hyper focus on having to watch every little word that we say. And, you know, I have to say this because I don't want anybody to think I'm other or I'm not a certain way, right? So during the North Node in Aries transit, you're really going to begin to take care a lot more of what's inside of you. You know, what your independent self wants, what your independent self feels and thinks and really wants to manifest. Because this North Node in Aries means that you're going to want more time with you, for you. So yeah, guys, time alone is going to sort of be, which is interesting because don't we all at some point need to be together? But it's about cherishing our time alone even more. And I could hear a lot of you from here, and I'm with you. Like, many of us really love our time alone, but it's going to be different level. And it's not about isolating ourselves from people. just to isolate them. It's going to be isolating ourselves from people so that we could build who we are in a way that really resonates with us. So it's a lot more productive use of the energy. You're going to learn how to trust your gut and your body, what messages that your body are telling you. You're just going to understand like that is your truth, and that's what you need to lean into. And these are the lessons that are best discovered alone within your sense of self, within your own mind, and not through other people, right? Because that's that Libra energy, is like having to ask everybody else for their opinion and analysis paralysis and all of this, right? Now, I will remind you though, right? And the North Node could be a little tricky because the North Node is always pushing us out of our comfort zone. So it's not always all good. Again, like I was mentioning a few moments ago, don't be surprised if you're a little more hot-headed during this particular transit. You're going to have little patience for people who contradict what you feel is true for you. And I don't know about you guys, but I am feeling this already, especially this week. I'm doing this on, what's today's date? July 9th is today's date. I really started feeling it very much so the past few days. So, but we cannot forget to use that South Node in Libra to bring some compassion, some empathy, pull it back, guys, because it's always about balance, right? We're always needing to balance these energies out, right? So you're going to find that during this Aries North Node transit, most people move away from playing it nice, from playing, especially if like you've been playing it nice just to play it nice, just to keep the peace, because Libra energy really hates confrontation. We'll talk around things, we'll put the smile on the face and just not want that confrontation. South Node is the excretion. It's the tail of the dragon. It's time to stop doing that, right? And so it's time when people in general are just really going to stop giving a crap about what others care about, and really focus on ultimately we're all going to be focused on what's good for us, but not necessarily in a selfish way. If we're balanced, if everybody's like, whoa, calm down there, you're a little too obsessed with what's good for you. This really should be about balancing out what's good for you and your partner, what's good for you and your boss, what's good for you and your business, what's good for you and your best friend. There's got to be a balancing out there. But what cannot continue is forgetting to remember ourselves. You know what I mean? So, that's really going to be important to see. Now, to see how the North Node in Aries transit is going to be affecting you personally, we have to understand the house that it falls in your chart. So we're going to be discussing that next, because that's going to be the environment where you're going to be the most Aries-like, or the most Aryan, right? And you could also look to see if the Aries North Node aspects any of your planets, and that'll show the qualities that will become more Aryan within you. For example, see what's like the degree, and then see what's like 3 houses away or 5 houses away. That's going to be tricky. Anything that's across the chart in opposition in that Libra energy, that could be a tricky energy. Anything that's around like within 10 degrees of that degree placement. But if it's 2 houses away or 4 houses away, that's going to be very supportive, because those are going to be sextiles and trines. I don't want to get into the semi-squares and sessi squares, because it'll crush your eyes and it'll be like, I don't know what this woman's talking about. So maybe that could be for another time. If you guys want me to do a more like in-depth sessi square, semi-square, very in-depth kind of astrology thing. But why don't we start off with our Aries friends? Okay, so guys, with that being said, that ends the introduction. If you would like to work with me privately, my name is Jackie, by the way, for those of you who are new here. I'm a Western Whole House astrologer. I focus on evolutionary astrology first and foremost, and I'm also a tarot reader, but I'm not going to be involving the cards in this particular spread. We're just going to be talking astrology, and I am going to be basing it again from your rising sign placement, because that's how astrology works. Okay. So with that being said, if you want to work with me privately, any specials that I might be running, the link to my booking site, everything is in the description box below each of my videos. So we're going to go on to start with our Aries friends. Okay. So the North Node in the 1st house, the South Node in the 7th house, Aries, this is what it's going to be. So this is going to be a time for you to become assertive and very self-empowered. I mean, so self-empowered. It's like you have a tendency here to be indecisive, maybe considering the needs of others first. You need to really discover and figure out your own identity over the next 18 months and really initiate your own projects. Now, that's not to say that you don't know who you are at all, but you need to get to know yourself on a different level. And the thing is, this is 18 months where you have to figure out some sort of opportunity or some way of handling relationships where you're serving others, where you're not forgetting yourself. Okay. You need to let go of possessive and very like passionate and self-focused and self-involved kind of personal relationships or personal endeavors, being very hyper focused on what it is that you need first and foremost, where you can very clearly identify what it is that you need, but that really exaggerates what you're not getting from other people. So there's got to be this energy of detachment that's adopted here over the next 18 months between what it is that you feel passionate about getting and what it is that people can actually give you. Because what can end up being a trap for you here is this preoccupation with justice, where you feel like your survival depends on everyone playing fair with you. And if you're feeling like that, that should certainly be an indication that you're on shaky ground, right? You are extraordinarily giving by nature. I have a lot of very close, good Aries friends, and they're so giving and they throw such good parties, right? But your need for justice and absolute fairness right now, it's not going to be able to be satisfied. Right. It's going to be like a bottomless pit kind of energy. You can start playing fair with yourself by not giving beyond the point that feels comfortable for you, even if you know that nothing will be reciprocated. You also need to avoid an unending search for an ideal committed partnership where you feel like if only you could find that perfect partner, then you're going to feel complete within yourself. Okay. That feeling of completeness that you see can only be achieved individually. It's not going to be the byproduct of a relationship or the perfect job or the perfect client or anything like that. No matter how wonderful the other person is, the bottom line is you're never going to gain enough approval from others. You're never going to be given enough from others to feel completely satisfied within your sense of self. So at some point, you have to take a risk and pursue activities that are meaningful to you. And the irony is that once you kind of go off in your own direction, the appropriate people are going to be drawn into your life to support you in the way that you need. Because during this transit, what you really want to experience is happiness, harmony, fairness, and support with one partner who you really love, with that one friend who you feel really connected to, with that one job or that one boss that you feel really supported by. But to achieve this, you need to be that to yourself first. You really need to be your own partner first. By getting to really know yourself, right? You begin to do things that bring you joy and increase your level of self-nurturance so that you feel strong, you feel confident, and you feel supported within yourself, by yourself. But again, it doesn't mean that you have to get rid of the other relationships in your life at all. It's about balancing it out. And as you treat yourself more fairly, you're going to feel a sense of balance, the balance and justice that you seek. So only at this point can you establish a healthy partnership wherein two individuals are sharing equally with each other without feeling, completely debilitated. Now, for you and all the other signs, I want to discuss some attributes to develop. That's also going to be, it's going to kind of be shifting within your personality right now, especially over the next 18 months, right? So I'm just going to sort of do a streamlining of it. Learning to take your own path in life, right? And again, this isn't about being selfish, but it's about identifying what speaks to your soul, letting go of your need to, the need to have your direction approved, being more assertive in your own approach, learning to be comfortable doing your own thing, charting your own course in your own life right now, and becoming decisive, realizing that your life is not about pleasing everyone else, and you need to get in touch with your macho persona. There's nothing wrong with that. That's that Aries energy. Get in touch with that. I mean, this is just about becoming the best version of yourself, developing independence. You don't need anybody's okay to live your life the way that you want to. You just don't. You don't, you don't You don't need to follow somebody else's ideas or ideals. You don't need to be content, to when you're alone. It's okay if you're not married. It's okay if you're not in a relationship. Really appreciating your sense of self, learning not to lean so hard on other people, whether it's your partner or whether it's a boss, or whether it's like this over dependence on a business for self-satisfaction, allowing yourself to be a little rough around the edges, fighting for the right to lead your own life. Now, some tendencies that I really recommend you leave behind during this 18 months transit if you happen to struggle with any of these things. First, seeing yourself through other people's eyes, worrying so much about what other people think about you. This energy of debilitating selflessness, like, no, that's done. Stop sacrificing yourself for everybody else. Analysis paralysis, being Ms. or Mr. Nice, right? All the flipping time. Obsessive attachment to fairness and justice. Codependency in general, this attachment to external harmony. Any sort of tit for tat mentality. And some healing affirmations for you to exercise right now, which would be really nice for you, is when I trust myself and follow my impulses, everyone wins. Before I can support other people, I have to learn how to nurture myself. I can help others best by truly being myself and who I really am. It's okay not to be nice all of the time. A sense of balance and strength comes from being fair with myself. So those are some healing affirmations that I definitely recommend you try, and those will be really, really good for you. So with that being said, my friends, that's what you're going to be experiencing for the next 18 to 24 months during this nodal axis. To remind you, it does begin on July 17th. Just a couple of weeks from here. It's like next week already. And that's what I have for you, Aries. I hope this is helpful in some way. You guys take care. Okay, on to our Taurus friends. So we have the North Node in the 12th house, the South Node in the 6th house. So the thing that you want to avoid, let's talk about that right now. Let's get it started for you there. Things you want to avoid over the next 18 to 24 months and you need to be aware of this, is your compulsive need for order, where you can say to yourself, your survival depends on everything being in order according to your view of how life ought to be and how others ought to behave. And it could lead you into, because that could lead you into a trap of the search for perfection. Because it's happening, you have that energy in your 6th house, which is a Virgo ruled energy, and Virgo is all about perfection, where you end up saying to yourself, if only the people around you were more perfect, then you could feel like you can relax and trust. Okay. But again, that's an energy that's never going to be satisfied during this transit, since life and other people are never in a static state of perfection long enough for you to feel that security. Your expectations here can lead to continual tension and a lot of anxiety, because life and others are never going to feel ideal enough for you to let go of control, so you can feel like you're in this space of continually postponing your trust and joy. Now, guys, you may be going into this energy like this, where hopefully this is like, wow, okay, I've been doing that. Now it's time for me to let go of that, right? Because the bottom line here involves you accepting that the universe's plan is better than yours, and that things are unfolding properly, regardless of how it seems right now, regardless of how it may have seemed up to this point, because you guys have been in that North Node energy. So for the past couple of years, you've been pushed out of your comfort zone, but a lot of times not even knowing what that meant for you. And where am I supposed to go? What is that next stage that I'm supposed to be in exactly, right? So the only place that you can create that perfect order, Taurus, is within yourself, by surrendering to a higher power and trusting that everything is indeed in order for you. The irony here is that when you blindly trust in the infinite, in spirit, in God, whatever is holy to you, and accept that everything contributes to your greater happiness, you suddenly become aware of the larger picture, and you begin to sense how things are working to your advantage, especially those of you who've been trying so hard to get into a new career, who have been trying to let go of the past who have been trying to create a new normal for yourself. Because it's only through developing these things within self, which is what Aries is all about. This Aries is about empowerment, and it rules the first house of self. Then you can let go of control and be really happy. Because what the underlying feeling is of what it is that you really want during this transit is you're going to want to be right all the time and to be perfect in just in every part of your life, right? And you're going to want to be perfect, and you're going to want to know that everyone else in your life is following the plan. You know what I mean? The plan. But wait a minute, I've been doing all of this planning, and I've been trying to manifest this, and I'm trying, you're going to want people to be on that page with you 100% of the time. Right? You want everyone to be in total perfect alignment with the plan that you think is right. Okay. That's an energy that's rising up to the surface to look at, right? First, you need to accept that you don't know what the plan is, right? You need to turn away from rigid and physical and material planning and refocus on the larger spiritual vision. Because remember, this nodal axis, Aries Libra, is about new and novel and letting go of this idea of what's fair, what's not. But this is the part of your life where it's going to be focusing. So it's through trusting and through surrendering to the wisdom of higher power that you're going to be able to watch life's circumstances with conviction. And so you're going to see that what ultimately ends up unfolding is indeed part of the larger plan that you didn't even realize was possible for you, especially with Uranus in there, right? In your energy right now. So once you're sort of watching the plan unfold, everything starts to become very clear, right? It's going to become very clear. I promise you, over the next 18 to 24 months, you're going to become filled with a calm. You're going to feel in alignment with what your path is. And, definitely in alignment with that spiritual vision of perfection that you're seeking right now. And it's really not even about you needing this perfection. Everything is based in fear that we're talking about here, And remember that 12th house, it rules enlightened states of consciousness. It's where Pisces lives. It's the oceanic feel of oneness with all that is in life. So at times you can definitely slip into a very enlightened state, a state of total connection with the universe. Your life purpose is to nurture that state and make it part of your daily experience over the next 2 years. So I would expect this is what I'm expecting, a lot of Taurians to become tarot readers, light workers, Reiki masters, meditation teachers, yogi specialists, nurses, anything that's in a space of really connecting with the divine and a very, very giving energy is going to be it's going to be very tangible for you right now. Though you're really not going to want to work with people. Like this is an energy for you where like you're better off having your own office. You're not really going to be into like commingling with people at work and all of that. You're going to have an inherent gift for noticing pertinent details at this time, analyzing very significant information. I like this energy for you. You're better off doing things that stress attention to detail because of that Virgo house. Anything with in-depth analysis, anything that requires accuracy, like bookkeeping or systems analysis. You're likely to experience some anxiety and restlessness during this nodal axis. That's okay. It's just part of the game here. Yeah, I mean, you're better off with situations that manifest on an ultimate vision. But bringing something into reality. So even like planning your own business behind the scenes, writing something behind the scenes, doing anything in a very supportive role will be good for you. So some healing affirmations that I want to go over with you, that you could just kind of say to yourself, all is well and everything is unfolding just as it should. Okay. When you let go and you let God, you win. Your survival is not threatened by disorder. The idea of it might not be your job, it's God's job, giving it over. Some tendencies to leave behind, Hyperanxiety, overanalysis, and obsessive worry, exaggerating the importance of details and critical first reactions, fault finding, making others wrong, excessive anxiety over making mistakes, being perfect, staying in unpleasant situations, inflexibility. Things to really develop here: making the decision to release yourself from the daily grind and becoming a spiritually independent person, taking the first steps towards spiritual work, moving away from codependent work relationships and deciding to put your health and well-being into the hands of a higher power. Meditation all the way. Actively pursuing your psychic gifts, becoming an active dreamer, learning confidence on your individual spiritual path, becoming less reliant on body therapies and more on routines, being brave enough to embrace the unknown, moving toward feeling comfortable being by yourself, opening up to direct psychic experiences and being brave enough to face your fears, being non-judgmental, compassionate, welcoming change, and trusting in positive outcomes. And that's what I have for you, my Taurus friends. I wish you so much love, sending so much light during this very interesting and very powerful nodal transit for the next 2 years. See you guys next time. Bye-bye. Okay, on to our friends, Gemini. So you guys are all about the North Node being in the 11th house, which is where Aquarius lives, and the South Node in the 5th house, which happens to be where Leo lives. So let's unpack this by talking about first things you need to be cautious of. You need to be cautious of your need for other people's approval, where you feel like your survival depends on others giving you approval, and thinking that if you have other people's approval, then your life is on the right track. But you're going to realize in short order, and very much probably you might even be seriously vibing it now, because it's we always feel very strong, first of all, when the nodal transit first begins, but it is that bottomless pit kind of energy, because the truth is you're never going to be able to get enough approval to feel satisfied or to feel free to be yourself from anyone else, any family member, any friend, any significant other, any job, nothing. You know, actually, for you, the approval of others is very much a false barometer over the next 2 years. You have to risk disapproval and be true to your own unorthodox ideas in order to develop the deeper and more satisfying feeling of self-approval. You can easily fall into this rabbit hole where there's this unending search for risk-taking, especially in romance, right? Where you just say, if I could just have a happy love life, then I'm going to feel complete and I could begin to do my part to help others or to contribute to life in the way that I need, right? It's that sort of dependency thing. However, if you don't balance that romantic energy with commitment to some type of humanitarian cause or some cause that's just you connecting to somebody else outside of yourself, it could become too intense and you inadvertently destroy the very relationship that you want so very badly. You know, so it really is about kind of getting out of your own way, especially in relationship, because of that 5th house energy. Also, same thing with your children. 5th house energy is very connected to your children. It's connected to your romance. It's connected to your business. Okay. So the bottom line here is you're never going to feel free to dedicate yourself to other people, for other people, unless you forget your own personal, any sort of self-absorbed desires. Because when you add your considerable talents to making the universal causes or the causes, considering that relationship, considering your children, considering other people, your efforts are energized and rewarding for everyone concerned. So, you know, you might be saying here, like, well, I don't understand, because on the one hand, you're telling me that I need to focus on myself, but then you're telling me to focus on somebody else. It's about balancing it out, because the irony here is that when you dedicate yourself, and I mean really dedicate yourself to a cause larger than you, for you, a partner, whatever, you're going to find that the universe will fulfill you on a personal level as well. So what it is that you feel like you need from that relationship will suddenly manifest, but it's through like the giving where you're going to be receiving what it is that you need, right? So, you know, be careful what you ask for here, because you definitely might get it. You know, that old adage, I mean, it really is about that in this energy, Gemini. I kid you not. And so it really is about saying, all right, you know, having to do with this relationship or this business. I've been working the relationship, or I've been this kind of parent, or I've been, you know, working my business this way. I have to think bigger. I have to think of other people. I can't only think of myself. I can't only think of my needs. I'm going to think bigger, and I'm going to give to the situation in a different way without forgetting about myself. But I'm going to try this different approach, and you're going to realize that suddenly you're getting exactly what you need. Because what you're really going to want right now is just to be loved and to be adored, and to be to be seen, to be heard, right? You want to be with somebody who returns your passion. You want to be able to put your work into a business and be able to reap the rewards. You want to feel, you know, put your energy into your children and feel their respect and their love back. But to reach this goal, you have to learn, truly go with the flow. Tell the universe what you want, and let life, with its perfect timing, bring others who will recognize and recognize you, adore you, and give you exactly what it is that you need. You need to receive love naturally, to be alert to the window of opportunity and respond to those who are coming into your life to love you during this transit, because they might not be who and what you would normally think or how, right? Spending time with like-minded people, openly expressing your unorthodox ideas and visions for the future. This is definitely going to attract lovers who can also be friends and give you the support that you really need during this next 2 years. When you focus on enacting your altruistic dreams, life is going to send you the special people to really charge up those dreams. And for a lot of you, it's going to be a very romantic energy. But it could also be an excellent energy to tap into if you've been feeling energetically, you know, challenged when it comes to your children, you know, or being able to advance your business. Okay. So attributes to develop during this energy, because working in these areas can definitely help uncover some hidden gifts and talents. So taking the initiative to share your creative passion with other people, starting a movement or group based on a mutual interest, leading your friends, fighting on behalf of social issues, no longer being content with art for art's sake, using your creativity to serve a greater cause, letting go of the need to be the center of attention, allowing yourself to be part of a group, yet retaining your individual identity, realizing that there is more to life than love and romance, becoming self-motivated to make a difference, letting go of your partying ways if you have that tendency, leading a team or the team, right? If you have a team, you know what I mean. Bringing your innate refinement and creativity out into the world to serve a greater cause. So get those books published, start that podcast, start that vlog, get that artwork out there, get that song out there to the world, guys, whatever it is, using your charm and your beautiful ability to motivate people to create a movement, becoming less dependent on your children. Okay. This is an energy to really desire solid friendship, an energy to focus on being able to see the big picture, making decisions based not only on your own interests, but the interests of you and your partner, you know, you and the group, willingness to share your unconventional ideas, willingness to champion humanitarian causes, active participations in groups, awareness of equality, you know, recognizing how other people are really special. And I know you see that, but do they feel it? Now, some tendencies, Jem, to leave behind. You really want to work on these to help make life easier for the next 2 years. Insistence on getting your own way. Making changes just to exercise authority. Attachment to taking risks, romance or gambling. Willingness and stubbornness. Attachment to the need for approval. Melodramatic tendencies. Doing what's expected instead of following your own heart. Unbridled passion and going to extremes. Unawareness of others' importance, right? Not making people feel important, right? You don't want to do that anymore. Prideful responses based on fear. So these are just some things that you want to let go of to have the best experience, because we really want to have a very open energy to this new period in our life, right? Because it's the 2 years that's going to create the change, that's going to speak to how things roll out. Again, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So it's our destiny to do something new and novel. And so what that specifically means to you, I'm excited for you. Let me know in the comments. Thanks, Jen. Enjoy nodal axis. Okay, so next up we have our Cancer friends. So this is the North Node in the 10th house, South Node in the 4th. Interesting for you, right? Because you are the landlord of the 4th house, which is where the South Node is. So you're like, well, Jackie, when are you telling me I have to like let go of myself? Kind of. This is a quest for maturity, Cancer, okay? You have a tendency to become over-dependent on other people and cling to them, cling to circumstances and situations, kind of like a child would. And I'm not calling you a child. I'm just saying that Cancer energy, it rules that early environment energy. It's ruled by the moon. It's very connected to mother, right? So you can burden other people at times with your real or imagined emotional problems, wanting them to take a parental role, wanting them to come in and fix things for you. I know this is like a little icky to hear, but be very open in your heart, because this is going to be rising to the surface, right? You're going to spend a lot of time searching for somebody who could come in and take care of you. Now, for some of you, it could literally be a father figure, unless you can rise to the challenge of becoming responsible for your own life. It doesn't, and I say father figure more as a term, right? Somebody to just come in and fix things for you. You need to let go of your personal problems and work toward your own respected place in the world. So for a lot of you, this could manifest more of like, but I don't want to do that. I'm not happy that that's going that way. No, I'm not going to feel safe in that situation. If it goes like that, I'm not going to feel very emotionally secure in my life. And it's this fear of the unknown that could mess with you, right, during this time, because this is all about empowerment. So what you want to avoid during this time, again, is this desire for dependence, right? At some point, you simply have to be willing to run the risks, take charge, assume full responsibility for the consequences. Because when you recognize a goal that's truly important to you and you live by it, you're going to gain the self-respect and assurance you need to live responsibly, even just within your own skin. Is the irony here is that once you take charge and you feel secure and in control of your own destiny, that's where everything is going to start feeling really comfortable for you. But what you really want is this environment in which you feel safe, you feel protected, you feel cared for, you feel doted on, a place where you feel like you genuinely belong. But to achieve this, you're going to have to be willing to let go of the idea that one special person or one group of people or one situation or one result is going to provide you with exactly what it is that you need. Instead, you have to take charge of creating what you need for yourself, and by pursuing a goal that energizes you, or by finding an ideal set of principles that builds your self-respect. That's where you're going to develop these feelings of belonging in whatever circumstances you're finding yourself in. Because if you put it all on somebody else's lap, it's just going to be this rabbit hole that it's insatiable. You're going to need that. You have to find focus beyond your scattered emotional needs and those of people around you. Because when you bring yourself into alignment with a higher principle or even a spiritual belief, you're going to feel more protected and more nurtured. Now, different ways that this could have an impact on your personality during the next 2 years. You're naturally going to be excelling at being the boss because of that 10th house energy. So management, public speaking, anything to do with government, politics, entrepreneurship. These are all good choices for you if you're looking to do like a career switch. Others are willing to cooperate with your goals, since your approach to people under your authority are being handled with sensitivity. You could achieve success in any area, because the 10th house is a little bit of a wild card house, but you need to be in charge of your own piece of the puzzle. And that's the big thing that you have to understand. It's like whatever you're doing, right? The 10th house is very connected also to, your long-term plans. You have to be in charge of that. What I do like about this is you're going to have a very finely honed instinct for empathy. I mean, you're always aware of the feelings for others, right? But when you're able to bring this into a situation where you're dealing with other people, there's going to be this energy of goodwill manifested. There's going to be this enthusiasm that's very easy to access, which could ultimately be a nice energy. You're going to be learning that in order for your life to work, you have to approach situations from a position of being in charge. And you have to get rid of the tendencies to manipulate people through emotional outbursts and instead approach others from a position of authority with quiet self-respect that's kind of removed from emotional reactions. It's like very King of Swords kind of energy, and it's a byproduct of taking charge of yourself and having your own life goals here. It's from that take charge position that you can relate as equals, right, to others in your life without depending on others. There's that goal for security. It's all about that, right? But being able to bring it to yourself. So attributes to develop, right? Let's talk about that. Okay, so I'm just going to sort of go down this list, and you could stop the video, play it back, write some down, however you want to handle it. First up, attributes to develop: admitting that you don't want to be a stay-at-home mom or dad or partner. That's going to resonate with a lot of you. For others of you, conquering the world outside, entering a competitive professional field, right? These are things that you can certainly end up doing quite well in if you enter a competitive professional field. Taking your ability to relate to people in a familiar way and using it to build a professional reputation in one way or another. Letting people see your angry, assertive side. Don't hide that. Being unafraid to fight with your parents. It's okay. You can do that. Feeling okay with your need for authority. Asserting yourself and gaining more control over your world. Gaining a reputation as a leader, becoming decisive in your professional life, realizing that you can't always please your family, running your own business, becoming an entrepreneur, self-control, approaching life from an adult position, distancing yourself from emotional intensity with family, self-respect, stay goal-oriented, sensible approaches to problem solving, letting go of the past, exercising extreme self-care. Some tendencies to leave behind, right? Just to make your life a lot easier over the next 2 years. Dependence, moodiness, insecurity leading to inaction, limiting yourself through fear, using the past to avoid the present, isolation, spending too much time at home or alone, lack of self-respect, avoidance of personal risk, and controlling others through emotional overreaction. So kind of want to let go of those. So that is what I have for you, my Cancer friends. I hope this interpretation was helpful for you in some way. I wish you guys the best, and I will see you next time. Okay, on to our Leo friends. So Leo, you have that North Node in the 9th house, which is where Sag lives, Sagittarius, and you have the South Node in Gemini's home, which is in that 3rd house. So it's on the 3rd house, 9th house axis for you, Leo. So let's start off with things that you should avoid. Your challenge during this transit is mental security, where you're going to be feeling, if only you could figure out what other people are thinking and then say the right thing so that they'll agree with your ideas, then you'll feel secure. And that could end up leading you into a trap of an unending search for information, where if you can only get enough facts, you'll be able to find the truth, and then you're going to know exactly what to do. But it's a rabbit hole. You're not going to be able to do that. You're never going to be able to read people's minds well enough to assure yourself that you are going to say the right thing. It's like you have to stop caring what other people think, right? You need to let go of control, pay close attention to your own intuition. Trusting and acting from your own truth brings out your integrity, which will attract the right people to you to help you gain the security and peace of mind that you are going to be seeking over this whole transit. You need to understand that you're never going to have enough information to know what the truth is for a situation, for a person, whatever it is. At some point, you simply have to go beyond logic into your own intuition which is very ninth house, and demonstrate what your higher truth is telling you. Ironically, when you have faith in your spiritual guidance, you will also gain a correct perception of what's really happening around you. Living in the truth of reality and not what's easiest is crucial for you to walk the path that you're meant to be on right now. Because what you really want right now, Leo, is to feel connected with others while confidently being yourself. Totally get it. You want total agreement of everyone around you, for everyone to understand your point of view, to accept and support you, and to recognize your positive motivations. To achieve this, you may try to manipulate people into thinking your way. Using your talent for understanding others, you likely think that you could say exactly the right words to make others change their mind and agree with you, but it doesn't work. In order for you to reach your goals, you need to refocus your attention just on your own truth and starting it from there. Now, again, it's always about balancing it out with other, but you can't forget your own truth. When you speak the words you intuitively feel, Leo, situations in which you find yourself in will be a lot more harmonious than if you were to not do this during this almost 2-year transit. When you live and speak from your highest self, people who are really not in alignment with you are going to fall away, and new people will appear, and they're going to be a hell of a lot more compatible with you. So when you act in accordance with your higher truth, others who are similarly attuned innately understand you and prove to be the most trustworthy of friends, partners. It could be in business, could be friendship, business partnerships, anybody, right? And this energy also of sharing spiritual values. And you don't necessarily have to even be a really spiritual person, or certainly you don't have to be a really religious person, as that ninth house typically indicates. It's where they have a shared belief system. So some attributes to develop during this particular transit. And I'm just going to kind of say them, and you can stop the video and write them down if you'd like. Okay, first thing, taking action to get beyond small thinking. Asserting your need for travel, or to make connections with foreign lands or foreign cultures, or to expand your mind and your skill set in some way. So whether that's, joining a local museum, expanding yourself through art, expanding yourself through information, whatever it is. Allowing yourself to assert your own personal philosophy of life, fighting on behalf of what you think is right, being brave enough to think big, taking the initiative to broaden your horizons, getting beyond the hesitation of making small decisions, taking leaps of faith, Leo, that's a big one, letting go of the need to ask a partner's opinion before making a big decision, getting angry about what is meaningful in your life, not filling your days with gossip and idleness, finding out what holds personal meaning for you, and acting on spontaneous intuition. Rely on your intuition and prophetic abilities and invisible guidance. You're not crazy. It's not in your mind. Speaking from a space of higher consciousness should become a regular practice for you. Spontaneity. Be more spontaneous, developing a sense of freedom and adventure. Direct communication, free from censorship. Trusting yourself. Spending time alone and in nature. Patience. Intuitive listening and hearing the meaning behind words. Some tendencies to leave behind. Second guessing what others are thinking. Indecisiveness. Perpetually seeking more information. Saying what others want to hear. Invalidating intuitive knowing with logic. Gossiping. Impatience. Wanting immediate answers. Trusting others' perceptions instead of your own, including how people think about you. Let that go. Some healing affirmations specific to this nodal axis for you. When you follow your own sense of truth, you win. Your intuition will show you the right road spontaneously as events occur. When you let others be themselves, you are free. When you trust your intuition and verbally communicate what occurs within you in the moment, you win. And that, Leo, is what I have for you for your nodal, the axis that's impacted from the North Node being in Aries and the South Node being in Libra for the next 18 to 24 months. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, on to our Virgo friends. So, Virgo, for you, the North Node is in the 8th house, which is where Scorpio lives, and the South Node is in the 2nd house, which is where Taurus lives. So, let's start off by discussing some things for you to avoid. The thing you have to watch out for is this idea of comfort, where you can be saying to yourself, the goal in life is to be comfortable. I need lots of possessions. I need lots of money. I need lots of fill in the blank in order to survive. This could even be like relationships, whatever it is that you attach worth to, right? Because that can lead you into a trap of an unending search for accumulation, where you're saying to yourself, when I finally have enough money, relationships, possessions, whatever it is, I will feel good about myself, and then I can relate to others. And that thinking leads to stagnation on so many levels: material, physical, mental, emotional, and even spiritual. Life experiences have shown you, or will be showing you, that you're never going to have enough stuff to feel comfortable in order to make the changes that are going to add a lot of joy and vitality to your life. So you need to be willing to risk losing your current level of comfort to gain a higher state of power and vitality, right? Because the bottom line here is you're never going to have enough over the next 2 years. I'm not saying that in general. I'm saying this feeling that you have. So if you're saying, if only I got that job that pays that, then everything's going to be great. You get that, and all of a sudden the goalpost changes. If only I get that house, or if only I buy all new clothes, or if I only have, think about anything that we attach worth to, and thinking that that's going to be enough. You're never going to have enough money, personal property, whatever it is, to think that you can, now wait for it here, afford to bond with someone else, to feel that there is enough to take care of your own needs. So it's like you could be easily holding yourself back from life, waiting for you to have more of this fill in the blank. So that could be holding you back from having the relationship you're meant to have, the friendships that you're meant to have, the actual job that you're meant to have. Like, at some point, you're simply going to have to let go of self-concern and put your full power into partnership. Now, that could be in a partnership or in a situation with other that is maybe a little uncomfortable. But the irony here is that when you finally bond with another business partner, a family member, intimate connection, that mutually empowering relationship is what's going to make you feel the richness. It's what's going to make you feel that worth, not only money and property, but also connection. I mean, it's all about that, right? You really want to, right now, what do you really want? Straight up, my friends, all you really want now is money, honey. That's what you want. You want to accumulate financial resources and material possessions to gain a sense of comfort and stability so that you can begin to, quote unquote, really live. You know what I mean? But to achieve that, you need to be willing to form a partnership with somebody else. You cannot do it alone. And so many times you guys do stuff alone. I know you don't want to do it alone. It just kind of rolls out that way. But then after a while, it's like, well, I have to do it alone if I'm going to end up having, any sort of success in this experience. But this nodal return, this nodal axis is really going to be pulling you to the carpet to really look at this, It's about finding those who have similar values and resources, whether it's money or talent, that they could share. And that can help you. Because if you use your talents to enhance your partner's energy, truly linking with that other as a team, whether it's business or in a personal situation, then maintaining a sense of separation where it's like my money, your money, my resources, your resources, right? These lines, right? These lines. This is my responsibility. You do that. This is my side of the fence. No blending, right? Whatever. The result, if you can blend, the result can be great financial rewards for both of you. And with that, it's not only financial, though. It could also be, commitment and figuring things out together. you know, attacking that debt together, attacking that business situation together, that family situation together, whatever is going on here, right? Is with the contractual understanding that you will receive a percentage of whatever it is that you put in. And then you're going to be free to focus on enhancing your partner's energy and power in ways that they will feel the increase and the success of the two of you as a team. And this even goes for romantic partnerships or any kind of entrepreneurial endeavor. This is such a partnership energy. Now, in terms of financial arrangements, you're better off asking your partner what would be fair, because your partner will appreciate you more than you value yourself during this transit. I hate to say it, but it's true. Now, I'm not saying I want you to value yourself, of course, but like a business partner may even that have more value and belief in you than you do in yourself. A significant other can have a lot more value and belief in you right now than you do in yourself. So, if you're trying to figure out, it's not only financial arrangements. I mean, we could even just sort of kind of skate this into like relationship responsibilities, right? Because that eighth house is where we show up as a we in partnership, blending intimacy and money and values and, so really kind of like sitting down and asking your partner, like, what do you think would be fair at this point? And asking yourself how it resonates with you. So some attributes to develop, particularly over the next 18 months, it could sort of stretch out a little beyond that. And these attributes are good to develop because it can end up uncovering some hidden gifts, some hidden talents, some good stuff for you. So the first one up is self-discipline, right? Attributes to develop: self-discipline in a healthy way. In a healthy way. Choosing constructive change, releasing whatever causes stagnation and low energy, eliminating non-useful possessions, enjoying things without having to own them, accepting support from others, whether it's ideas, money, or opportunities, enjoying high-risk situations that make you feel alive, awareness of others' psychology, their desires, wants, needs, and motives, openness to partnering, supporting, and merging power with others. Some tendencies to leave behind. You really want to work on these to make your life a lot easier over the next year and 18 months, a little over a year and a half. That was a year and a half. Tunnel vision, attachment to comfort and the status quo, possessiveness, over-concern with accumulation and ownership, questioning past decisions, stubbornness, getting bogged down in sensual appetites. Guys, that could be food, that could be alcohol, anything like that. Repeatedly doing things one way, the hard way, even though another way is easier. Resistance to change and other people's input. So that is what I have for you, my friends. I hope this was helpful for you, Virgo. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Okay, Libra, you're next. So yeah, we have the North Node in your 7th house and the South Node in your 1st house. Oh boy, okay. So the North Node is in your home. You guys live in the 7th house, right? That 7th house is very connected to marriage, contracts, your bosses, the people who you serve in your industry. It also has to do, 7th houses also are like our therapists and our doctors, I'm just saying. So it's a nice energy with the North Node in the 7th house. It's a very nice energy to start therapy or get a new therapist if the one that you're using isn't really working out for you, but I digress. Let's start off with talking about some things that maybe you want to avoid getting into, or that you have to just be mindful of right now for you to have the best experience here. You have to be aware of selfishness right now, where you feel like your survival depends on looking out for yourself and others, expecting others to make sure that your needs are met regardless of their concerns, regardless of their needs or whatever's going on with them. Because the thing is this, even if that person did that, or even if those people did that, it is kind of like this bottomless pit kind of energy, rabbit hole sort of thing, where if you feel that others have to constantly fill your needs for you to feel safe and connected, you're going to find that you always need more attention and energy just to feel okay. So it's not going to be enough. Like the goalpost is going to move. You need to find partners who you can give to, who will feel so energized that they naturally fill your cup up in return in appreciation. So the satisfaction lies in connecting with people who see you for who you really are, appreciate you, and then want to give back to you. So it's like feeding off each other. You know what I mean? It's definitely going to be a difficult goal, Libra. I will tell you right now, very difficult. If you're in an important relationship where that person simply does not possess the ability to have that reciprocal kind of energy, which could be the very reason why that could certainly make anyone hyper focused on what it is that they're not getting from that person or that situation. Now, the trap you need to avoid here is this unending search for independence, where if you could just be self-sufficient enough, then you'd have the confidence to attack life, to relate successfully for others, and you wouldn't feel alone. So it's really interesting energy for you guys, because on the one hand, you really want to be independent, but at the same time, you really have to look at where are you still dependent on somebody else. And there needs to be a filling of that divide, because life has shown you that accomplishments and independence do not make you feel complete. You know, you know that. The bottom line here is you'll never feel, never. I mean, you have to go through this transit, at least for the next 18 months. You're going to feel that you're not going to be receiving a strong enough sense of self to become part of a team. At some point, you need to take a risk of losing yourself in support of another person. So I know for a lot of you, this is going to be super uncomfortable, but like kind of forgetting about yourself and your own needs in a more balanced way, meaning never forget to remember yourself, but balancing out your needs with what somebody else needs, whether it's that boss or those bosses or your business or your marriage partner or that serious relationship with your best friend or even that family member. Whatever it is, it's got to be about balancing. You know, it's really about balancing. You have to take that risk. Because again, that irony is that once you do that and you start to unselfishly support someone else, you begin to feel joy and a very deep sense of happiness of your true self. And your true self is going to come shining through, right? But a lot of it has to do with the energies that have been going on for our Libra friends. I know it's been really difficult. And balancing that energy out, right? But a lot of you are feeling very scared, you know, that relationship's not going to work, that you're not going to have that money coming in, that you're not going to be able to maintain that job, that you're not, you know, there's this fear. There's a fear of this time period, you know. And the thing is, the empowerment is really very much within yourself, right? You really want to be your own person, to be the center of attention and discover yourself in different life situations and surround yourself with people who feed your energy. But in order to achieve this, you need to refocus your attention away from yourself and really discover the nature of the people who have been drawn to you in your life. Once you discern which people truly admire you and want to support you, and once you begin to feed those people energy, that energy comes back in spades. I'm telling you. So being really aware of who's in your life right now. Are they messy? Are they toxic? Or are they nurturing? Do they charge your battery? And really splicing out those energies and hyper focusing on the ones who are team you, team Libra, and giving of your energy there, right? Now, there could be some personality shifts, that how this can impact your personality over the next 18 months. I'm not even going to lie, because this is a very like warrior-like energy. So you can now have this exaggerated survival urge of like a me versus you mentality. It's what you know right now. Right now, you're competitive, you're goal-oriented, you're tactical, you're very aware of how you will be affected by what you do or by what's going on. You yearn to be with others, to love others, to feel loved, but you don't know how right now. It's like, what the F? You could be afraid to release your strong grip on your sense of self because you feel that the battle, because it's Mars energy, right? Because it's Aries, Aries, Mars rules Aries, may begin at any time, and you have to be really strong and on guard to survive. So a lot of you may be really in this space of like, it's almost like navigating a weird video game, right? Having to do with certain situations and relationships in your life. Something to just, keep in mind. So let's just discuss, I'm going to mention some tendencies to leave behind and some things to really kind of gravitate towards. But I first want to mention some healing affirmations for you. So some really good healing affirmations to say would be, when I focus on supporting others, I feel confident. When I successfully stimulate self-confidence in others, we both win. When the team is successful, I win. When I share with others, I have more, right? It's this idea of balancing. So some tendencies to leave behind over these next 18 months. You really want to work this idea of working to reduce the influence of any of these energies I'm about to mention, just to make your life easier. So impulsiveness, thoughtless self-assertion, lack of awareness of others' need for support, self-centeredness, selfishness, lack of good judgment regarding money, expecting others to be like you, indifference to how you're seen by others, resistance to compromise, outbursts of anger, over-concern with survival. Some attributes to develop. These are going to make your life not only easier, but it can absolutely reveal some sort of like hidden gift, hidden talent that you have. This idea of being assertive in relationship, definitely something to develop. Learning to be to be the aggressive partner, right? To take control, in charge, not letting people walk all over you. Getting what you want out of marriage, realizing that it's okay to fight and argue in a relationship. Making sure that relationships meet your needs. Being decisive about the kinds of partnerships you want to get involved in. Remaining an individual within a relationship. Not taking your partner's last name in marriage for some of you, maybe a motivation for you, or at least not losing yourself. I took my husband's name. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is a lot of you may feel very moved to do this, right? Allowing yourself to have relationships that may seem rocky to other people. So, you might have some sort of like very Aquarian energy going on, or whatever relationship you have. You might have a weird relationship, but so what? It's the way you like it, and that's okay. It's not about what other people want. Remember, the North Node is in Aries, right? It's got to be, as long as it's okay with you. Using your natural diplomacy to solve marital problems. And guys, for a lot of you, you really want to look at this idea of maybe having a dangerous or exciting partner, or seeking that out. Some sort of like dangerous, sort of behind the scenes, some sort of secretive thing. Be super careful with that, because you really want to be careful with that, right? I mean, this is a time where you should be increasing your cooperation, diplomacy, and tact. Just this idea of selflessness, giving support without expecting reciprocity, sharing, creating win-win situations, and communicating your self-identity, and not just going with the flow and not keeping your mouth closed, but saying what it is that you need to say. So it's interesting, because when we're talking about a lot of these things, right, it almost seems like opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Well, it is. It's opposite ends of the spectrum. But the key here is that we have to balance these energies out. And we have to use the energy of the South Node to become more of that North Node energy. But again, this idea of being different, new, novel, that's the energy that we have to lean into in this space. So I hope this was helpful for you, Libra, in some way, to maybe validate what you might be feeling already, but to at least contextualize what it is that you will be feeling, certainly over the next 18 months. Thanks for hanging with me. I'll see you next time. Scorpio, are you just going like, thank flippin' God right now, right? That it's getting out of your sign, that silly South Node. So you're going to be experiencing the North Node in Aries in your 6th house and the South Node in Libra in your 12th house. So let's start by discussing some things you might want to avoid or stay away from. The idea of victim consciousness, Scorpio, really big one for you, where you can easily feel like, if you don't have constant compassionate attention and understanding from others, somebody can take advantage of you. And it can almost create, then you're going to say, well, it depends on what else is going on in your chart. But it can be like this low level. And I feel because it's moods, it's emotions, like this low level is kind of paranoia, you know? And you want to avoid this need for having to have the answer, having to have the attention, having to have whatever it is from somebody else, because it is a rabbit hole that you're not going to be able to find yourself in. Other people in this energy are not going to be able to give you enough reassurance to overcome your inner sense of helplessness and, again, paranoia. Only when you look within are you going to be able to figure out and really discover what outer structures you need to create in order to give yourself strength and purpose right now in your life. And the trap that you have to really stay away from here is this unending search for a savior or a mentor who you can trust blindly and to whom you can surrender yourself, right? Because really you could be saying to yourself on a soul level, oh, if only I could just surrender enough, God will put things in order, right? But you don't feel like you can do that. It's this idea of power and control that is still sort of laying over from this past nodal axis. A life has shown you that inward surrender will not make the external world orderly and productive. So the only way that you can really achieve your goals is to organize your life in a way that you need it to be, so that you could feel safe, so that you could feel strong. The bottom line is you're never going to have enough confidence to go out into the world to do something productive if you don't resolve yourself to do things differently. Because at some point, you simply have to begin actively participating in life. I'm telling you, Scorpio, this is like straight up getting out of hermit mode. Getting out of hermit mode. Because the irony here is that when you begin to participate and learn to really embrace what leads to what you ultimately would consider a successful life, you're going to gain the confidence that you seek, but you have to start getting out there into the world. Don't allow yourself to continue staying single. Don't allow yourself to hide in the house. Don't allow yourself to stay secret in that relationship. It's no more hiding. Because I know what you really want here is to be lost in the security blanket of your own personal connections and your own personal connection to the universe. You want to just let go into something larger than yourself that will support you and give you that expanded sense of identity. I get it. It's like I'm dating myself here, but it's just like, Calgon, take me away kind of thing. Those of you who are a little older know exactly the commercial I'm referencing, right? But in this energy, you can have an insatiable need to experience peace and oneness, but to successfully attain that goal, you have to go into the world and be of service to others. And you have to connect with others. Now, it doesn't mean that, so much you have to just work with others. I mean, it's literally about connection. Is as you shift attention from your own fears, because there are a lot of fears going on here, and focus instead on the here and now, you can very easily be able to restore order into situations that have been really chaotic for you. So some healing affirmations that you may want to lean into. Well, I'm going to list them. You could stop the video, write them down, however you would like to, to remember these. The first one is, I'm the only person who could put this situation in order, so I might as well do it. The next one, this is not a victim lifetime, and this is not a victim transit. It's not. Next, when I withdraw, I lose. When I participate in creative, positive results, I win. Finally, when I focus and have a plan, the whole universe opens the pathway to success. So you have to have a plan. And the 12th house energy is a great space to plan. So attributes to develop, right? And this can really make life just a heck of a lot easier over the next 18 months. This idea of becoming a freelancer, entertain it, setting your own schedule, setting a schedule of objectives for yourself and sticking to it. Breaking out of a deep passivity, of being passive, deeply passive, which prevents you from being fully present in your life, just and throughout the day, each day. Learning practical, independent skills. So you don't have to go back to school so much to like get the degree, but what could be an independent skill that you can embrace, that you can level up, that might end up opening doors for you. Asserting your need to set your own agenda. Taking the initiative to care for your health. That's an important one, guys, because of what's going on with Chiron in your chart. Releasing patterns of indecision. Getting a job. Realizing that it's the things you do every day that create your life. Being brave enough to release family secrets and skeletons in the closet. Being brave enough to face the world. Being independent of institutions and handouts. Fighting for your health, fighting against the system. You want to participate. You want to bring order to chaos. You want to create routines. You want to gain self-confidence through experience, right? This is about taking risk in spite of your fears, noticing and valuing details, some tendencies to leave behind, working to reduce the influence of these tendencies, Scorpio, going to make your life a lot easier over the next 18 months. First one, this idea of being a victim or having victim consciousness. Try your best to get in touch in front of that. Confusion and disorientation, avoidance of planning, escapism, addictive tendencies, Scorpio, to drugs, alcohol, excessive sleep, daydreaming, extremism, oversensitivity and self-doubt, feeling inadequate and withdrawing, vagueness, not wanting to commit, this idea of inaction and just giving up on something. You have to get rid of that. You're so much stronger than you think. I mean, you guys are so strong, you know, but this has been a tricky cycle for you guys. And so with that, I hope that was helpful. I hope that helps to contextualize things. And thank you so much for joining me. See you guys next time. Bye-bye. Okay, Sag, so let's talk about for you the North Node in the 5th house, which is where Leo lives, and the South Node is in the 11th house, which is where Aquarius lives. Okay, so let's start off with what it is that you need to be careful of, okay? What you need to be careful of, or at least aware of with this, the nodes lighting up this particular axis, is the overriding need to feel the acceptance of peers, older siblings, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, stepchildren, grandchildren, or just people who are in your circle. It's acquaintances. It's like, you know, because it could be this feeling like if I just cooperate with life and go with the flow, my peers, with people who I associate with, will automatically support me and bring me happiness, right? But this could also really call to the front this resistance to changing up your goals. So you really want to look at and be careful of any resistance there, where if you thought life was certainly going to go in a certain direction when it comes to your goals and gains, but it ends up, it's not going that direction, resisting that change, you know? Because if you don't, it ends up being this bottomless pit. If you end up holding on to it, it's a bit of a rabbit hole that you could go down, because your friends and whoever it is that you're dealing with, or whatever strategy and plan that you had for the next 10 years of your life, whatever it is, you're not going to be able to get enough support from that idea or from those people for you to break out as an individual, you know, and really experience the exciting opportunities that you know life wants to bring you. It's not about relying on them. It's not about that. You need to, at some point, become your own best friend and encourage yourself to go after those things that are going to bring you happiness. So it's not about waiting for somebody else to get you that job, introduce you to that person, whatever it is, give you whatever it is that you need. The trap you need to avoid here is this unending search for knowledge as well here, Sag, which is very interesting, where it's like, if you have enough knowledge and you're going to feel confident enough to take creative action, and you're never going to feel like you have enough knowledge to ensure a successful creative action here. So you continue to go with the flow, waiting for happiness to find you. But you also need to be careful of praying here with no actionable follow through. You can't just think something. You can't just pray on something. You can't just put the energy in anybody else's hands. This is like really like an absolute ownership kind of energy. Right? And not that you guys don't take ownership of your own life, but there's something here that's lighting up with this axis where it's like you have to be more concerned about you satisfying yourself, you realizing that, you can't fix your partner, you can't fix your children. There's got to be this energy of respect here. Because once that you take action and you begin creating your own happiness without this over reliance on this other, that's where it all sort of rolls out. And you end up, moving into a space of success pretty effortlessly, right? But what you really want here is to receive love and acceptance, right? You need to experience the loving energy of others. And it's like pretty insatiable at this point. There's a very strong desire for connection. So to successfully bring this energy into your life, you first need to give love by cheering people up, by being a positive beacon for them, by being very unconditionally supportive for them, by giving to others, right? You know how to use the limelight to make other people happy. You know how to do that. You do. So by exercising creativity to contribute to the happiness of others, you create an audience or a peer group that will ultimately support you, accept you, and love you. This is even in relationships, being really supportive of a partner, being very thoughtful of a partner. That's the best track there. And the best barometer of being on track for you is the approval from others, is somebody coming along and saying, Sag, thank you so much for doing that. Thank you. That's amazing that you did that. That means you're definitely going in the right direction, because in the process of giving happiness, as long as you stay in alignment with your own integrity and your own humanitarian ideals and what it is that the right thing, you're going to gain the reward of knowing that you are an important participant in the stream of your life. You are an important participant in that relationship, in that friend group, in that situation. Now, some personality shifts that you might be experiencing over the next 18 months. So honestly, you are going to have an unusual gift here, or a propensity actually for objectivity, right? You're going to be able to accurately see what the game is, like what is the real deal, what's going on. And when this skill is used as a backdrop for achieving your goals, that are fun for you, your ability to see things objectively becomes an asset to problem solving and to engage in situations in a really, really healthy way with other people. But if you involve yourself in situations, and this is even a profession, a relationship, whatever, that has like objectivity as a goal. So for example, like if you're a scientist or an inventor or an engineer or an X-ray tech, like these are things where you have to be very objective, right? Your life can feel kind of empty and dissatisfied. You don't want to get into something where it's like the objectivity is the ultimate goal. Let me give some other examples here. I mean, it could really even have to do with even any sort of like artistic, anything artistic, right? Because that opposing house there, it's very much about like monetizable talents and creative self-expression, right? you don't want to just to be objective and to see the bigger picture and understand the game is one thing, but you don't want to sacrifice what it is that you bring to the situation either, if that makes sense. So I just want to say a couple of words on fairness. Part of your detachment that you are probably going into this nodal axis feeling can spring from your innate sense of fairness, right? You support the individuality of others and you don't want to interfere with or suppress the other person. But in this transit, you're learning to draw boundaries on how to say no, but also understanding where you need to contribute in a fair way. Going first with the saying no. It's understanding how you can say to somebody, no, that behavior hurts me. And if you continue to do that, I will leave. I will have to love you from across the street or whatever it is. Because you're taking a hand in your own destiny here and you're giving the other person an opportunity to change, right? This simple, honest expression of your own individuality is much healthier for you than just leaving a relationship without notice or shutting someone out or shutting down that important conversation. But in the same way, you have to be very open and willing to be able to accept this from another person, because this axis is all about balancing out, right? It's all about balancing out. And because you will have the gift of being aware of what pleases another person, you assume that others will also have the ability to know what pleases you. So when others end up not giving back by doing things to please you, you could think easily that a situation is unfair, and then you begin to withdraw. In fact, others are not as objective or as observant as you during this transit. Okay, so you just have to understand that. You have to give them some clues. They're not going to be mind readers for you. And a lot of past life stuff could be coming up here, not only your own desires, but of desires of when you wanted something really bad and you had expectations of people around you, but they weren't able to be met. So a lot of that kind of energy could certainly be coming up here. But, generally speaking, generally speaking, you want to just check the fairness barometer. Are you being fair? Are they being fair? We really want to watch out for this idea of selfishness, but also being too short-sighted, so that's just something, to be mindful of. Now, some attributes to develop over the next 18 months, following the impulse to shine as an individual. That's a really good one. Next, differentiating yourself from the group, recognizing your need for personal creative expression. So go take that art class, go take that music lesson, whatever it is. Getting over the fear of offending your peers if you follow your heart. Realizing that you don't need anyone's approval to be creative. I don't care whether it's to learn that musical instrument, to be a dancer, athlete, artist, actor, whatever, or to have children. You don't need anyone's approval. Asserting your need for creative expression, becoming a solo artist, becoming a creative leader, getting out of codependent friend groups or group relationships. Romancing yourself is something that you should become quite good at. Taking yourself on a date, why not? Taking the lead in romantic relationships, being brave enough to take the first step when you want to move beyond friendship with someone. Taking risks in love. If it scares you, lean into it, go in that direction. Becoming really athletic or honing some sort of athletic talent that you may already have. Being there for your children, but not doing the work for them, and creating healthy boundaries with your children. True commitment is something that you should also be embracing. Willingness to take center stage and follow your heart's desires, strengthening your willpower, being really enthusiastic, taking risks, being really confident, relating to the child in other people, enjoying life and just having some fun, looking at life as a game, like lighten it up. So good, because you guys are a light energy, but the way the transits have been, it's been heavy, right? Developing its up to me attitude, the same time, there should be some tendencies that you might want to leave in the rearview mirror, yielding to peer pressure in order to belong. And I know that sounds silly for those of us who are older, but it could be the pressure from your kids or from siblings or just from a larger group. And you feeling like, oh, like, okay, I have to agree with this. Otherwise, it's going to be a thing. And I want it to be a thing, right? Just speak your mind, right? You also want to leave behind detaching from emotional situations. You want to really leave behind the tendency to be aloof or waiting for others to prop your own action, right? Waiting for somebody else to make the plans, waiting for somebody else to do something, overlooking what's really going on in a situation because it might be uncomfortable. You don't want to do that anymore. Waiting for more knowledge before taking action, right? Aries doesn't have all the answers, right? But it's like, let's do it anyway. You definitely want to avoid excessive daydreaming and running away from confrontation. So that is what I have for you, Sagittarius. I hope that was helpful in some way. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys next time. Okay, moving on to our Capricorn family. So you have this North Node energy in your fourth house and the South Node energy in your home, which is in the 10th house. So very interesting here. So let's start with things we might want to avoid during the next 18 months. And what you need to be aware of is your need for control. If only I could make them get their lives together, then I could relax and just enjoy my life and be vulnerable. But that's not going to work, right? The truth is, you're never going to be able to control any situation or any person enough to feel that it's actually safe for you and comfortable for you to totally be yourself and just relaxed, right? It's not going to happen. Not with these energies. So when you try to take charge of situations in other people's lives without being invited, you are inappropriately usurping others' responsibilities, and it's not going to go well. So the best way to strategize this is, pull it back. And you really need to avoid this search for acknowledgement, right? Where you could easily say to yourself, if only others will recognize my contribution to some situation in a respectful way, then I could begin to feel good about myself. But again, rabbit hole, bottomless pit. Others are never going to give you enough recognition for you to feel satisfied. But it's only when you acknowledge within yourself the importance of the contributions that you make through nurturing others in a supportive way and right there, then that's where your fulfillment comes in. Nurturing others, giving without expecting back, right? I mentioned that even in last week's video. I mean, that's very connected to this nodal axis. The bottom line is you're never going to have enough consideration, power, control, authority to feel that it's safe for you to be vulnerable. You're never going to be able to control a situation big enough or securely enough to say, okay, now it's safe for me to be who I really am. Like at some point, you're going to have to take a chance and let others know the truth of who you are and how you feel, warts and all, your insecurities, your fears of rejection and abandonment and feelings of inadequacy. The irony here is that when you risk letting others see that vulnerability and who you truly are, you finally gain total safety because in revealing your feelings, you've taken charge of yourself on a deeper level. So there's nothing that they could come in and hurt you with because you're putting it out there and you're saying these things that are that you've been keeping, hiding under the barrel. I mean, you might have even let people know these things, but not the depth. You know what I mean? Like the depth of it. So what you really want, because it feels way more cozy for you and a lot safer, is to be in absolute control of every area of your life all the time. For this transit, this is what it brings. It's insatiable, though, that need to think that you have to have power over a person, a situation in your life, whatever it is, in order to succeed. So, but in order to attain this goal, you have to stay in touch, right? And having this positive manifestation with this transit, you have to stay in touch with your feelings and your insecurities and share the truth about yourself with others and say, look, I don't mean to be difficult. I don't mean to come off as controlling. It's just that I'm really nervous about my job, not having money, this relationship not working, whatever your vulnerability is, saying it. Because acknowledging your insecurities is it's the very thing that's going to give you a stable base from which you can create your success in the outer world. Since then you're no longer fighting, yourself by trying to hide or suppress your feelings. And you don't have to worry about being found out, or you don't have to worry about whatever. It's if you put something out on the table and then people use it against you and they judge you, they're the messed up ones, not you. Right? That's on them, right? Because by allowing you to tap into your vulnerability and be very communicative about them, this gives you a very calm inner certainty from which you're able to accomplish whatever goals in the rest of your life you're trying to focus on. And by acknowledging your own emotions, you're going to develop an awareness of other people's feelings as well. Because this is the thing, when we allow ourselves to be really open, other people then feel comfortable to do the same thing for us. As long as you remain aware and supportive of other people, you're going to gain that support that you require to help you on your path. So with that, let's talk about some things that you might want to work on or develop over the next 18 months. For some of you, something to work on. Starting a family of your own. That might be something that you want to do. Depends on the age and stage that you're at. Letting yourself have a private life in which you get to do what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. Becoming less concerned with your approval rating throughout your life. Being assertive about your need for family time and downtime. You don't have to be like yelly about it, but being assertive and being proactive and planning things and laying out expectations. Giving yourself the option to work from home. Being okay with not having a real career. So, a lot of you splice things together. That's okay. Being okay with not being in the limelight. Being comfortable with your anger and unpleasant feelings. That's a big one. Developing an independent private life that you don't have to share with anyone else, because you don't have to share it with anyone else. Allowing yourself to feel angry with your parents and siblings and the way they cared for you or didn't earlier in your life. Same idea, allow yourself to feel angry with your marriage partner if they in any way mistreated you, because this is about you taking the lead and caring for your own emotional well-being. It's very much a fighting for your country energy, right? Because the North Node is Aries, and Aries is ruled by Mars, and it's that warrior energy. And what are we talking about here? It's your inner sanctum. It's the deepest part of you. So you're fighting for your country. Now, for some of you, could be literally. Some of you may be very moved to join the service. And if you do, thank you very much, because I am too chicken to ever do that. And I think, honestly, every day. I have so many military people in my life, and I thank them whenever I see them, because somebody's got to do it. But also metaphorically, obviously, right? You're in a sanctuary. And some other things that you might want to focus on is empathy. Noticing and validating feelings of others, nurturing and supporting others, building your own foundation and your own security. Honestly disclosing your feelings and your insecurities, and humility. Accepting other people's failings. It's okay. And fluctuating mood swings. What are you going to do? Try to stay centered in your own feelings. It's the best way of you being able to handle this energy. Now, some tendencies to leave behind. Needing to control everything and everyone. Compulsion to take charge without fully understanding the situation. Ignoring the process and being too focused on the goal. Feeling completely responsible for everything and hiding feelings and fears in intimate relationships. Doing things to gain respect for the admiration of others, taking care of others' feelings and neglecting your own. Doing what's socially acceptable rather than what's totally honest. And thinking that things have to be difficult in order for them to be important, because they don't. So some healing affirmations that I strongly recommend you exercise and say to yourself. First one, Capricorn. When I try to control, I lose. Next, when I share my feelings, I win. Third, I win when I acknowledge the capacity of others to take charge of their own life. Next, it's okay to let my feelings show. Next, it's okay not to manage everything all the time. And finally, no one can invalidate my feelings. No one. The reason they can't is because during this nodal axis, you're going to be developing a very clear sense of self. So that's what I have for you, Capricorn. I hope this was helpful in some way. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care now. Bye-bye. Okay, Aquarius, you're up. We have the North Node is going to be in your third house for the next 18 months, and that South Node is going to be in the ninth house for you. So North Node Aries, South Node Libra in the ninth house. So let's first talk about some things that you might want to be careful of, or you might want to be aware of. And the first thing is self-righteousness, right? Where you could feel like, if other people would just acknowledge that you're right and appreciate you for it, then you would feel understood and accepted. It could be that kind of like, why doesn't any, people just don't understand me, they don't get me. And that's a common feeling actually, probably for you guys, because you're the very, very connected to the out of the box energy. But with that line of thinking only leads to is a trap of an unending search for this idea of truth, right? And what's right, because you can easily feel like if you have all the answers, then everyone will value you, and then you could relax and feel connected to people. I mean, this is really like, there's so much vulnerability with this transit, I feel like, for you, right? That's like a rabbit hole, because it's impossible to be right all of the time, and it's very hard to truly feel good about yourself, and when you're putting all of that pressure on yourself, right? And when you argue and you try to convince people that you are right, others don't want to connect with you. So it's like, you want to be really mindful of pushing these agendas where maybe you're not considering the other person. So if you have enough humility and openness to really listen to a variety of viewpoints, even those that maybe don't fit in with yours or with what you think is right or your previous experiences, you can get to know people in a way that helps you feel more connected, if you can do that. Because ultimately, the bottom line here is that at some point you have to release your preoccupation with the absolute truth and simply begin to relate to people as you are, and listening to others and learning from them. And you don't have to have all the answers, and you don't have to be perfect in anything, all of that. Okay. Because always the irony here, and there's always irony with the nodes, is that the process of this more like equitable and relaxed interaction, truth is a lot more successfully communicated. And when you really listen to what's important to others, your responses are a lot more appropriate and helpful. So it doesn't make it seem like you're not just focusing on your own needs or your own thoughts, or you're not really paying attention to ultimately what somebody else needs at this time, right? And then people appreciate you, and then they want to connect with you, right? Because you're certainly going to be feeling this idea of truth, right, is going to be very alive for you. This you want to, and you're going to want to feel, you're going to want to be free to pursue the truth and have adventures and be spontaneous and be right 100% of the time. And you're going to want to speak completely from your truth and your intuitive processes, and have everyone understand you and learn from you and appreciate your help. But in order to do that, you have to stop focusing on your truth and begin to focus on the people around you, and this idea of listening and understanding, and the information that others share about their life. Really, you need to heed it. You need to really digest it. Because when you listen in this way, sometimes you may find that you have an aha moment, right, into this insight that is exactly the perspective that that other person needs from you. And because this information is accurately addresses the other person's problem, it's going to be very nicely accepted. So you understand, it's like It's like almost like your destiny, that you're meant to sort of be there for somebody in your life to help them navigate some sort of situation. But it doesn't have to be about them throwing accolades at your feet. And the thing is, you want to be careful of just putting your ideas and your perceptions out there. You want to make sure that you're really listening to what, what this energy needs, and then figuring out what is the best truth for the situation. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of energy that we really need to focus on. So let's talk about some attributes for you to develop, right? Because work in these areas can certainly help you to figure out some hidden gifts that you have, some hidden talents, or just help things go forward a lot more smoothly. So for a lot of you are when it comes to study, especially those of you who are still students, this idea of letting yourself study whatever it is that you want to study is going to be a very welcomed energy for you. So if somebody's saying, no, you have to do A, B, and C, and you're like, all right, I really don't want to do that, or this is the direction that you have to go in, you might be stepping back, right? Because this energy is really encouraging you to make up your own mind about things, asserting your own personal ideas, writing down your thoughts, moving away from being dependent on religion or dogma, or even father energy. Having the courage to follow your own ideas, being brave enough to write, get it out there, recognizing that you have a personal viewpoint that is separate and independent from other people, being a leader in your local community, excellent energy for that, becoming less reliant on the opinions of others and speaking up more, speaking up for yourself. A lot of you guys are very quiet, right? Because you have that Capricorn in the 12th house. Becoming less concerned with whether or not people think you are intelligent or that you express yourself well. Allowing yourself to be verbally and mentally aggressive and getting to really know your own mind. Exercising healthy curiosity, asking questions to learn how others think, seeing both sides of a situation. Exercising tact and logic. Communication of internal dichotomies and really sitting down with those, being of two minds about something and really sort of working through that. A positive approach to life and other people, and purposely cheering up other people, using a very non-threatening approach when expressing ideas, and being a really good listener. Openness to new ideas and experiences, that's a big one for a lot of you, and seeking factual information before making decisions. So some tendencies that you might want to think about leaving behind just to make life a little easier for you over the next 18 months. Self-righteousness, aloofness, assuming that others know where you're at. Thinking that you know what others are saying without really listening. Needing to be right. Espousing truth without taking others' view into account. Careless spontaneity and taking shortcuts. Taking yourself too seriously, having a very ponderous approach to life. Acting on intuition without checking the facts. Resisting ideas that are foreign to your belief system, and prejudging present situations on the basis of past experiences. So those are some things you want to think about releasing. So let's go over some healing affirmations for you, Aquarius, okay? The first one up is, this is a people-oriented transit. So I know a lot of you Aquarius risings are very, very hermit-like. But this is a people-oriented transit, so it really is time to get out and connect with people. Next one, I can slow down and take the time to connect with others. Third, when I tune in to how others think, I know what to say. Next, when I'm willing to listen and learn about the other person, I win. And finally, if I don't understand, it's okay to ask questions. So that's what I have for you, Aquarius. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you have a great North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra transit. See you guys next time. So Pisces, last but certainly not least, we have the North Node in your second house, which is the home of Taurus, and the South Node in the eighth house, which is the home of Scorpio. So let's unpack this by starting with something that maybe I want you to think about being mindful of or be aware of. And first off is this idea of trying to seek self-worth through others, where you can think, I can only feel okay about myself through the validation of other, is that can lead you into a trap of an unending search for a soulmate. If I have this one special person's energy, I'll feel complete. In truth, you can only achieve a sense of completeness within yourself. It will never come as a byproduct of a relationship, a business situation, anything like that, even with a soulmate. Matter how much support and validation you get from other people, you will always feel like you need more in this energy. It's not going to be forever, but in this energy, well. In fact, for you, others' validation is a false barometer of whether you're on the right track. Living according to standards you know are right for you, regardless of what others think, will help develop a sense of self-worth for you. Because the bottom line here is that at some point you must stop being enmeshed with others and involved in others' business and simply walk your own path instead. You have to do that, because once you begin to do that, others will support you both financially and on an energy level. So that second house, eighth house is very connected to like my money, your money, what matters to me versus what matters to you. The eighth house has to do with debt. It has to do with inheritance. It has to do, all those things that I always say the eighth house needs. It's a very controlling energy. This axis is very stubborn as well. So, just understanding that, because what you really want right now is to merge with someone else's energy and just feel this mutual empowerment. So it could certainly be in relationship, but it could also just be having a meeting of the minds with family or with a business connection, right? Because you're looking for this total permanent commitment. It's like the kind of energy where it's like, you're going to love me no matter what. You're going to have my back no matter what. You want a partner with whom you could count on to take care of all of your material needs so that you could take care of all your partner's emotional needs, or vice versa. But it's a synergistic relationship nonetheless, that's mutually empowering or completely dependable and completely dependable. This idea of, I'll wash your back, you wash mine kind of thing. To do this successfully, and to establish this type of relationship, you have to be really discriminating, so that you find someone with similar energy and values to you, right? The shared goals have to be innately valuable to each of you as individuals. So like, if you have that energy, but then like you're with somebody who, doesn't care about that, doesn't care about doing that, especially in an intimate relationship where they expect you to work full time and clean the house and do the dinner and blah, 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 and they're contributing very little, really, if you whipped out the scales. No, this is going to become really apparent to you, right? Unfairness is going to be really apparent to you. But again, you can't get too tripped up in the idea of unfairness either, because this is a time period of self-empowerment. Right. And you have to remember, like, during this transit, you are going to be like a master builder. And when I say builder, some of you might be building a home. If you are, congratulations. But really smart at building, whether it's a home, a relationship, or a business, but here, when you're willing to follow the rules, you can successfully build anything. Okay, so during this time, you're going to excel in anything that is in alignment with what you consider to be truly valuable. And again, it's not so much about what other people think, because the truth here is, even if somebody offered you the world, you'd always be completely mindful of their ability to take it away if they wanted to. And that instability all too well, whatever. I mean, you know that already. So, with this imprinted in your psyche, at some point, you're going to learn to realize that the only way for you to feel secure is if you provided for yourself. And this doesn't mean that you can't trust a partner and have a beautiful life, but it is to say that relationship or that connection needs to be built on reciprocity, of fairness, of love, of mutual respect. I mean, it's a Venus ruled energy, and Venus believes in growth through fairness and equity, so nice energy here. Good way to go, by the way, is to do your own thing during this time. By the way, as an aside, I mean, I haven't really been dealing with the nodes pertaining to like specifically for like career or anything. But I do have to say for you guys, like managing your own business, project, company, where you could feel autonomous. But you're gonna have to let go of like this, you know, this idea of immediate results, right? This idea of one step at a time really does need to be honored. But I don't want to get in the weeds about that because then I'll go off on a whole other tangent. But let's discuss some attributes for you to develop during this time. So some things, attributes to develop, is just going to make your life a lot easier right now. First up is awareness of boundaries and loyalty, taking things one step at a time, having a clear sense of your self-worth, being aware of your personal values, being patient, honoring express needs of self and others, like really listening what others need, but then you also expressing what it is that you need and not keeping it quiet. Enjoying the 5 physical senses. So anything that tastes good, feels good, sounds good, right? Gratitude, forgiveness, persistence, awareness of nurturing from Mother Earth, you know, this is such a good transit for you to do, like, you know, it could be very cathartic, anything having to do with planting or just going for a walk in the woods or just being out in nature, anything like that would be great for you. So now let's discuss some tendencies to leave behind, okay, to make life a little easier for you over the next 18 months. Attraction to any kind of crisis situation, over-concern with other people's business, impatience, inappropriate intensity and judgmental tendencies, preoccupation with the psychological motivation of others, resistance to cooperating with what others want, overreacting, destroying something in order to eliminate one part of it. That's a big one there. Obsessive compulsive tendencies. Those are some things you want to think about letting go. Now let's go through some healing affirmations for you. So, and these you could stop the video, write them down. These are very effective. The first one, to win, I need to proceed slowly and persistently, step by step. Number 2, when I live by my own values, I feel good about myself. Number 3, Mother Nature supplies me with the energy I need. And you need to remember that. I mean, going out in nature is certainly going to charge your batteries during this transit because of your placement. Next, when I satisfy my own needs and the express needs of others, I build a stable base for relationships. Next, if I'm comfortable, I'm on path. And finally, what others think of me is none of my business. So that is what I have for you, my Pisces friends. I hope this was helpful for you in some way. I wish you a great South Node in South Node in Libra, North Node in Aries, 18-month transit. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. You guys take care now. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, so let's discuss if you have this axis natally. So if you, in your birth chart, if you have your North Node in Aries and your South Node in Libra, what does that actually mean? Well, the Libra South Node, Aries North Node in the chart is typically called the housewife position. Now, that has nothing to do with gender, right? And however, it's not always how it actually works out. I'll explain. This position is more about being trapped within yourself instead of being trapped in a specific position and trapped by the opinions of others. It has a lot less to do, obviously, with gender and a lot more to do with actual self-restriction. So if you have a Libra South Node, you don't trust yourself to make decisions and really you rely very heavily on the opinions of others, a lot like the classic housewife. I mean, not to throw shade at anybody who's a housewife because it's very important, but just that's what we call it. Now let's kind of unpack this, right? It's also this energy of like analysis paralysis, and I have to run, something by 12 people and then really think about it, that kind of thing. Now, the South Node in Libra natally, let's just discuss that first. With the South Node in Libra in your natal chart, you're definitely a caretaker energy. You're very good at keeping a group together, definitely more of a group person, really into that thing rather than like as an individualist, right? You don't really love that. You like the group think. You might always want to be with others instead of being alone, which is not uncommon with this placement. That South Node Libra energy also doesn't necessarily mean that you necessarily had any sort of specific trauma from your childhood, but a lot of different events could lead to the lessons that you're meant to learn through your Libra South Node. Some events in your childhood made you feel likely that you needed to rely on the opinions of others rather than on yourself. You couldn't be yourself with your own identity. Your childhood identity was always linked to other people, and this made you afraid to be alone. So you relied on other people almost as an extension of yourself. So, in fact, you probably coped with a lot of your negative emotions by being around other people because then you didn't have to really think about anything very painful. It's easier that way, right? People kind of can distract us in that space. Also, the Libra North Node means that you focus a lot on how things look, right? You might enjoy a lot of flattery or spend a lot of time doing things that you think others will approve of, right? The look of. You want to fit in with society. This can manifest as caring about expensive things, a beautiful home, makeup, looks, or even saying that right thing at the right time, the socially acceptable thing. The house where the South Node Libra sits will show how this desire fits in and it manifests. So, you should see when in the other parts of the reading, wherever that house is, you could kind of glean some more information from listening to that house. But this is just like natally if you have it. Now, if you think that you have to follow what others say due to that Libra South node, you struggle to think for yourself. Your impressionability might have created pain as a younger person, always feeling that you needed to take on that next in thing, that next trendy thing, even if it didn't really fit you and vibe with you. But then over time, you go through many stages until you realize that you'll never find satisfaction unless you figure out and discover what it is that you like, right? But you have to be brave enough to actually do that. And much of this is because you're afraid of being judged. You felt judged and criticized or even overlooked in past lives and in childhood. And this created a trauma response within you. Now, you can easily feel like you must fit in. This is a survival mechanism where you unconsciously feel that if you don't fit in with the crowd, then something terrible will happen. And this nodal placement means that your happiness depends on other people. So if those around you are having a bad day, you will be physically affected. Your confidence can be easily shattered when you identify with others because you don't have a strong sense of self to fall back on. Also, the South Node in Libra means that you are very much an empath. You're very empathetic. You're extremely sensitive to the energy of those around you, which is one of the reasons why you feel a very strong need to keep the group together. But by doing this, you sacrifice a piece of yourself in the meantime. You might even feel resentful with this Libra South node because you just can't act and be your own person, or you feel perpetually stuck. But even when you realize this, you spend a lot of time thinking about breaking free rather than just actually doing it, like actually breaking free. Now, sometimes with the South Node in Libra, this means that you build up resentment towards others because you're always focused on and forced to be the caretaker. But what you don't realize is that the power does lie within you. You can be very indecisive with the South Node in Libra as well. You probably need the opinions of others before making decisions and can't figure out how to stop doing this. It's like it, you recognize it, you call it out, you shine light on it, but it's like, how do you actually change it? That's where the tricky part comes in. The South Node in Libra can also mean that you feel the need to win over others through subtle forms of manipulation. You try doing this to take back your sense of self, yet you don't know how or what it is that you really want or need to become. When you feel that, you must manipulate or win to retain that piece of yourself. What you really need to do is focus on your own wants, needs, and opinions rather than on winning over anybody else's. Okay. Now, when we're talking about the North Node in Aries natally, you should learn to express your independence and boldness, even if you have to strain yourself, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. That's okay. Because anyone with a profoundly placed Aries, and Aries native, as we will call it, they're bold. And since they accept challenges without hesitation, they feel courageous, even if they don't have it all figured out. You know, it's they are very much the initiating type, the fighting type, and these are qualities that you need to integrate into that Libra energy, right? You have to learn how to do things that are functional, things that feel right for you, even if your actions go against what society tells you to do. So, for example, like when it comes to your home and home design, focus on what you like rather than what other people think. Same goes for clothing, makeup, activities, whatever it is. Do what you actually want to do rather than always asking for the opinions and the viewpoints of others. And while this might mean that you become more, I don't know, different, not in trend, whatever it is, this is essential to move you towards that North Node in Aries, because you will figure it out. That North Node Aries also means you must eventually stand up and face your inner truth. And you have to defend that inner truth, but first you have to learn to feel it and learn to figure out your truth. Feel your truth, figure it out. You've spent so many years seeking the opinions of others that your truth is buried deep inside. So once you figure out what's true for you, only then can you really act, right? But you have to do this very individually, teaching yourself so that you don't become yet another extension of someone else, but you can still incorporate the best traits of your South Node in Libra by loving others while you do this work. You just don't forget the good Libra traits that you can take with you. It's only the shadow manifestation, right, that we want to let go of. So it's all about learning how to exist in a group while also retaining your own sense of individuality. And at first, you may need to isolate yourself so that you can even find your North Node in Aries. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's like, what is that? What is that? That emperor energy in me? What does it even look like? What does it even mean? This idea of control, being in charge, right? It's much harder to access when you're around other people for you. So until you develop a stronger sense of self, you may need to spend more time alone. So look inside and find your sense of self, no matter how scary that may ultimately be. The North Node in Aries is all about the sense of self. And this will be especially important in the house that your North Node in Aries sits in. So that house shows where this new sense of self will begin to show and what environment you should especially focus on. What makes you happy? What makes your heart sing? It might not be what it is for other people. So follow the creative seeds in your mind instead of dismissing them because you're afraid. Moving towards that North Node in Aries is all about following the spark, even if it's not supported by other people in your life. It's not about them, it's about you. And also, it also means that you will become like a metaphorical explorer in this life, an explorer of yourself. But you have to act upon the self-knowledge you attain to truly fulfill that Aries North Node energy. Now, one way to access your Aries North Node is to follow your body. Aries is an extremely physical sign. It rules the physical body. So allow your physical anxiety, your gut, and your body signals to tell you the truth, that whatever is deep is very, very deep in your mind, because Aries also rules the head, and our mind is obviously is found in our head. When others give you opinions, retreat and listen to your body to figure out, okay, is that good for me? Is that the right thing for me? You want to learn to stop needing to win over people in order to reach your North Node in Aries. Is while we think about fighting as an Arian, the need to win over another or other people, it is actually more Libran in nature, right? So your South Node in Libra needs to know that you've won the group, while your North Node in Aries actually doesn't care. Actually that energy really doesn't care. So it really is about balancing out the two. So that's what you guys are having your nodal return. It doesn't have to be a big scary thing, guys. It really doesn't. I'm just finishing up mine, and I had a great one. Lean into it, learn the lessons that are there for you to learn. And that is what I have for you guys. And so happy nodal return, guys. Happy nodal return. It's always a time of change. You guys take care now. Bye-bye.